Hi everyone and welcome to a new episode where I'm going to polish this watch. But before I actually start the process, I wanted to show something. I don't recall seeing something like this before, but as you can see, someone glued the armor ring to the case. Luckily, this is a gold case, and because of that, I think I could, in worst case scenario, I could find a chemical that won't harm the gold, but dissolve whatever is in there. It's very bizarre. It was only in that singular spot. I don't know what was the reason, but maybe to prevent it from slipping, or maybe the crystal is loose. But is this sign of Gluto? I don't know. But yeah, it wasn't to the degree that I was afraid. It was very easy to remove the crystal, and I think this will clean regularly. Caseback is done now. I've been planning this for quite a long time, and luckily my method, which I tested before, works really well. And even as it is, I really like the looks of it. The details are there. But I'm going to work on the logo a little bit and add the shadows and maybe some graining around the stars to imitate the original finish. And while the information is fresh, I want to talk about glare engineering a bit more. Normally on gold casebacks, let me show you a perfect one. As you see, there is a ring here that is also polished, and as you see, it is right on the border of these lug cutouts, and there is a face here, here, and here. 1, 2, 3, 4 side faces, like 90 degrees around these, and there is a brushed one here. And if you remember the sacrifice of this caseback that now lost its definition. So basically, one problem here is that when you touch the caseback with a flat sandpaper, let's say stick, and these areas, since they are polished, are not flat anymore, and they leave these bright areas that are glary. So let's say the polishing is actually 20,000 glare, and when you touch it with 800, there is an extreme 19,000 glare difference here, and it shows, and it takes away from the experience. So I'm going to settle with this one here. I'm going to just touch up the logo, but I'm going to settle here because as from this experience, it's best to just do a minimal one touch and just settle, and this is an ideal point to settle for this caseback. I'm not going to fly close to the sun and get burned. But if I was to do it, I would need to, for example, start with the 2000 clear and just work around these lock holes first with 2000, and then touch with one flat touch with 800 grit at right angle to imitate these angles as well. But like I said, I mean, if I slip, even one slip, I would need to do the middle area as well, and that one just could end up like this one and with a lot of tears. So this is just perfect as it is. I think I got 19% there. There's no point in pushing like 92%. And let me just show you how I use. I have made a sandpaper stick. Turns out it's sandpaper stick is actually a thing as well to apply sandpaper. I've found this ruler, flat steel ruler, which is very ideal. If I couldn't find it, I guess I was going to have it cut, but this is really ideal size and shape. A bit smaller could have been better, but I mean, it's hard to find something like that unless you get it cut. So I wrap sandpaper around it like real tight. First at one angle I wrap it, and then after applying a little pressure, repeat as well, so it's completely flat there. And just do single touch at a safe angle, and once I make sure I have 100% control over the situation. And one good thing about this is that it's not completely flat. For example, this side, one side is a bit skewed, and that is good as well. For example, when I was doing this case back, the inner part was easily done, the outer part was easily done, but middle part remained, and I don't like doing too much of it and leaving material, so I use this one side being a bit, I think this side is a bit angled. Anyway, so that's it. I don't suggest if you're doing it by hand. I mean, obviously everyone does it by hand, but still, if you're an amateur, I don't suggest going for this angle. But if you are to go for this angle, make sure to match the glare first with a 2000 grit, work a bit on it, and then do the one touch with 800 or whatever grit you choose. Even for the surface of this case, I could have done a 20,000 sweep, but it's risky doing it by hand, and I didn't want to upset the original polish and just use this contrast and settle here. And now I'm going to continue probably to the case after a while. It took some work, but I managed to clean the case using toothpicks and cloth. The outer parts with cloth and inner parts with toothpick. I scraped off all the glue. I didn't want to ultrasonically clean it, as I quite like the original yellow gaskets. So as a next step, I'm going to do a 2000 grit sweep as a base sanding, both upper and sides, just to see if there are any imperfections and get all the shine areas covered with 2000 grit. And then I'm going to do a 800 grit final finish. I decided to not remove the bezel. I like how this bezel is. It's a bit scratchy, but I mean, it looks honest, and I'm a bit afraid of removing the bezel, to be honest, on gold wedges that are valuable. So that's my next step. 2000. One side, and as you see, the imperfections that were invisible and polished are now visible. So luckily this wasn't deep polished. As you see, there is a small bump here, the tip, and a couple of scratches here and there. Now I'm going to get deep into this locally with a small sandpaper and cover those glares that are polished and get them to not reflect light like this, so that when I do the 800 grit, it won't look really out of place and make it obvious that the watch has hand polishing, let's say. The sides are done with 2000 and it's already looking better. Start at the top with 2000, and what you see here is what I'm trying to prevent in the final result, where a spot like this one stays shiny, and in order to get to it you end up working through too much top material. So to prevent it, I'm doing 2000 now and not caring too much about the angles, caring more about the coverage and getting the glare right before I do the final sweep. As you can see, this is an intermediate state. I can go back and fix some minor side issues too with 10,000 grit sandpaper and my stick. And it's not final, but I would just wanted to show what this was about. For example, you can see a weird glare here. It means that there's a polished section not covered. Glare here, a polished section not covered. Some glare here, two polished sections not covered. This is not too bad, two spots. So you have to cover these spots, otherwise it looks like this in the final state. A bit better than this, but you can see weird glares, and those are all polished spots not covered. So this stage with 2000 grit is what it's about, hitting all these spots, making sure it clears uniformly, and then doing the final sweep. Now the 2000 grit stage is complete. I think most of the glares are gone and the sides are okay. There are two spots that need fixing, one here and one somewhere else. Small slip, I'm going to do a 10,000 sweep there. But I think it already looks better than how it was before. It looks like a regular case. And also it's a good time to bring in someone else's work. I bought this as it is right now. And you can see this one hand finished too. So it's like my current stage, this watch. I don't dislike this one too, by the way. But just showing how this method exists in the wild too, but I don't think this guy paid just too much attention. However, I don't think there is anything majorly wrong with it. For example, you can see an upper sweep here instead of side sweep. But other than that, it's good work. I mean, it's good enough that I probably won't touch this either. I like that it wasn't polished or overly brushed. I mean, definitely looks good to me. If I close the light, let's close the light and check this that way. So which one was the case I made? I mean, I can't differentiate. I think this is my case. And it already looks good, although it's not final. And this was the case from someone else. I think I might do this one next, but I'm really not sure. Definitely looks good this way. Maybe depending on this result, I could revisit this one too and do it myself. However, like I said, I like it. I mean, definitely better than polished. Instead of 800, I decided to do 1.2 thousand. You can see the difference here. 800 is a bit deep. You can see the scratch pattern, but with 1.2, it's more lighter. And as you can see, there is a bit of a polished lines issue here. But that much you have to accept. If I did the 2000 stage better here, you wouldn't see this glare issue inside. So basically that's it, I decided to 1.2. And this is how it looks after 1.2 thousand. And this is on a slide, so you see all the imperfections, etc. Now, like I said, I'm going to do the sides with 10,000, just one sweep. Make sure to get all those mistakes buffed out. But I think it looks good. Let's compare it to a original unpolished and unused watch. Obviously, the difference is night and day with this one, especially with the patina and different color. This one, as you see, the lines are deeper. By the way, this isn't proven to be unpolished, but I think it is, or it is very well done. But for polishes, I think it was a good result. I'm comparing to this one. No, not this one, sorry. This one. Is it worth doing this again? Probably not. Now the 10,000 grit side polishing stage. Almost close to the final stage. The sides are done like this. Best to not touch the side as much as you can, because in the earlier stages the angling, you generally angle so things look good, and if you do the forward in a place too much, it will definitely show. So some very hard to get perfect. And now I'm going to show you an issue. For example, these are all seem acceptable to me, but as you see, there is a glare issue here in this corner close to the bezel. So this is why the 2000 grit stage was very important, to get rid of all these. So basically at the early glare stage, the aim, I guess, should be to get it as close to final as possible, because all those mistakes show up in the final result. So I see one here, not a big issue in this side, but this one I think is a visual issue, this side here, so I'm going to probably remake it. But compared to the original, I think already it is looking very good. And the restoration attempt, adding detail to the medallion, I think should be a part two. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't have any experience, and I'm not too sure about the tools. I'm was thinking of using a needle, etc., but not sure. And I think it looks good after the contrast. It definitely looks very good. For the front side, probably going to redo this now. So it's done, and I'm not going to push my luck too much with it. And as you see, this was the left one was the one polished by someone else, and this one is mine. And interestingly, this completely polished case is in better shape than this one. You can see the lugs having more detail. So whoever polished it at least didn't go too deep, and it was possible to restore most of the detail even by hand. So I'm not going to do this one. There's no need. They look pretty similar. I mean, you can't differentiate them really. And I think they both look okay now. I'm really glad I didn't remove the bezel as well. It wasn't going to make much difference. And that's it. Thank you for watching. And that will probably be a part two. Have a good day. One last tip I have is to use both hands, as these lugs require one hand and these lugs require another hand. And I found out that the best position to hold the watch is like this, because I'm protecting the side with my finger. So if there is any slip, my finger is going to catch it instead of going downwards. So this way, doing this case was very easy. This was a very rough case. Still, it's looking so much better now. This is the mode, and I get the small pieces and run them through. And in general, if you didn't watch the earlier videos, the method relies on the flatness of the sandpapers to protect the edges and not touch the edges. I guess this is the last edition to this specific episode. Thank you for watching again and have a good day.